Now, from Wish TV, your local news source, this is All Indiana Politics.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of All Indiana Politics on this Sunday. Let's get right into it, starting with the January 6th investigation and former Vice President Mike Pence. The House Committee's third hearing Thursday focused on the week-long campaign to convince Pence to overturn the 2020 election results. We also saw remarkable new images of the vice president in hiding beneath the Capitol as rioters went through the building searching for him.
Let's welcome in Tom LoBianco, politics reporter for Yahoo and a former AP reporter who wrote the book on Pence's campaign for vice president in 2016. Tom, you covered Thursday's hearing. The committee almost seemed to herald Mike Pence as a hero of January 6th. What was the reaction in the room at that hearing?
Very somber, very sobering, as all these hearings have been. I had chills sitting through it. We've seen a lot of this before, but the gravity of it really seems to be finally hitting home. I mean, I think, you could pick any number of moments from those hearings, but for me at least, perhaps the most important one was this chronology that they did, where they show you in real time how Trump, former president, is reacting to this. The footage that the rioters themselves captured, and that you can literally see when Trump issues that tweet at 2:24 p.m. on January 6, 2021, saying that that Pence should have stopped this. You can see the rage from the rioters in real time through that video montage. And the thing that grabbed me, and I think, we kind of knew these details before, but it just hadn't really sunk in entirely, for me at least, was that they came within 40 feet of confronting Pence and his family and his detail. And they were talking about killing the vice president. And I don't think it will take a long time for that to sink in for me. And I imagine that's the same for a lot of other people.
Now, you've covered Pence for a long time, and you've covered extensively the events of January 6th. Would you say that chronology and sort of putting everything into relief is the biggest takeaway from this, or was there something else that stuck out from you at this hearing?
It really is for me. And I mean, each individually, there have been a number of stunning scoops, not least of which this kind of back and forth from John Eastman, where he wavers on how he's going to try to keep Trump in power, how they're going to try to overturn the 2020 election results. But a big one that we found out about on last Thursday was that immediately after this all happens, after the attack and after the threat on the Vice President Mike Pence's life, John Eastman asked for a pardon. And this is, again, there's such a multitude of details, such an incredible amount of information. But the scoop, the conceptual scoop, the importance of this, the gravity seems to be understanding it and seeing it all put together in a clear timeline, a clear chronology, and clear causality, it seems, for the first time, really. And for Congress, these are shockingly concise. I was watching some of the gun legislation hearings a couple weeks ago, and they were not nearly as concise as this.
At least at this point, what would you say is Pence's legacy from this? How will history remember his role on January 6th?
This seems to be the defining moment of his life and his career. And, what's interesting is that he actually told his lawyer who testified last Thursday, Greg Jacob, he told his lawyer as much. When he was writing the letter on January 6th, when he was preparing this with Jacob, with his team, he said this might be the most important item I ever signed, the most important statement that I ever signed. And I mean, as of now, that feels to be correct. I mean, that could change. he appears to be running for president. Nobody has announced. Again, that other things could happen in the future, but right now, this seems to be not only a defining moment for Pence, but also a defining moment for our country, frankly.
Do you think Pence would testify before the January 6th committee if they call him to do so?
That is a great question, and one that I know that the committee members themselves have been talking about. I think Chairman Benny Thompson weighed in on this about a week ago. He was telling a couple of us at the Capitol that he's hopeful that they're still in discussions. Knowing Pence and his team and how they've been talking about this and Pence's own ambitions, again, looking forward to 2024, I suspect the answer is no, but it has not been tested yet. They have not issued a formal invitation, not that we know of, to Pence as of yet. So it's a central question. Few people know as much as him. Perhaps the only other one is Trump, and I would argue that the credibility is much better on Pence's side than Trump's side when it comes to this stuff. And again, of course, the credibility is also improved when you're testifying under oath with the threat of perjury.
Tom LoBianco, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Gary.
All right, coming up, shaping the statewide balance for 2022, we meet the new names on the Democratic ticket next on All Indiana Politics. Welcome back to All Indiana Politics on this Sunday. Let's talk elections now. Republicans and Democrats have finalized their statewide ballots after holding conventions this weekend. And let's welcome in two of the newest names of the statewide Democratic ticket. Jessica McClellan is the candidate for state treasurer, and Zanae Brooks is the candidate for state auditor. Ladies, good to see you. Thank you for taking some time.
Thanks for having us.
I want to start here because I think it's an important topic. Why is it so important to have 3 women on the ballot for Democrats come this fall? And Zanae, we'll start with you.
I'm very big on representation mattering, whether it's all women, whether it's people of color, whether it's people from the Pride community. So having women be able to see themselves in politics, make decisions, be at the head of the table is empowering, especially as we have things like Roe versus Wade, being up for grabs right now. I think it's just important for people to see that women do have a voice and empower other women to get involved.
Jessica, your response?
I come from a local government angle, and in local government has a lot of women with incredible experience running these local governments and local institutions. And I think that it's really important that we get those women who have that real life experience up to the State House to share what they've learned that I think is missing from the voices at the State House.
As you both know, the last time a Democrat won a statewide elected office was 2012 here in Indiana. It was Glenda Ritz for state school superintendent. So why do you think that could be different this time around? Jessica?
Well, I think it's going to be different this time around because we're seeing the need to restore the value of our tax dollars. That's going to be needed to deliver that better future for our Hoosier families that we desperately need. One thing that the Treasurer's Office does really well with tax dollars is pooling resources. And it's things like pooling tax dollars and pooling resources that lets institutions like schools and libraries and cities and towns join into that investment pool and have increased their revenue through safe and profitable investing. And it also allows local governments and local communities, which we need to invest in for our financial future and security, to be able to go out and find projects that they need to have done for their future and get that financing through the Treasurer's Office. Take some of that burden off of local officials who are already wearing so many hats to meet the needs of their citizens. And so I think that it's that kind of mindset from my campaign that's bringing a new vision to the Treasurer's Office and how to strengthen our local fiscal future.
Zanae, your answer to that same question?
Yeah, I agree with everything Jessica said. It's really about reestablishing trust with the people. I think a lot of Hoosiers right now are feeling the heat no pun intended, of inflation, whether it's taxes or interest rates or whatever it is. And so we really want to make sure that our Hoosiers understand what's happening with our state's financial situation, so they understand it, so they know how to assess the reports, so that they actually understand and can articulate and to really be able to take hold of what's happening in the state house and how that affects their own house and personal finances, and so helping them really bridge the gap.
Zanae, you're running for state auditor. Why that office?
Well, I am a CPA.
Yeah.
I have been an actual auditor for about 15 years now. And so part of that role is really ensuring financial responsibility, making sure things are reported accurately. And so this role is an extension of that. It lines up right with where my career and experiences. And again, really just ensuring trust within the profession, within the community, and within our politics, so that people understand and have faith in what's happening.
And Jessica, State Treasurer's Office is what you're running for. Why now?
Oh, now is it's such an honor to be running for this office. I feel like after I'm in my second term as county treasurer in Monroe County, which I absolutely love, and we're a steward of public funds. And I think it's such a fascinating office at the state level that I would just love to be there and help bring the resources and the opportunities that the state treasurer's office has to help local communities, because I see it on the front lines every day, how communities are struggling, how the families are struggling, and how local government is struggling to get resources back out to those communities. And so I would love to be in the treasurer's office and do more on that front.
As you ladies know, we've seen that tax rebate kick in at least once this year. The governor trying to do it again. Is that something we should look to do every year?
Well, I think that relief is definitely very welcome by many Hoosier families, but I don't think that it addresses really what this economic climate is really doing to Hoosiers financially. And just from a state treasurer's perspective, we need Hoosiers to invest in themselves, and we need local government to invest back in the community with the help, and the treasurer's office can help with that. And that's going to strengthen our fiscal future for everyone.
Zanae Brooks, Jessica McClellan. I think I got that right this time. Did I?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Good to see you. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
And we look forward to having the newly chosen Republican candidates here on All Indiana Politics in the coming weeks. All right, coming up, Indiana's best political team debates the future for Mike Pence after the January 6th hearing. Next on All Indiana Politics. And welcome back to All Indiana Politics as we welcome back two members of Indiana's best political team, Democrat Laura Beck and Republican Mario Maslamani. Guys, good to see you. Let's talk about that Thursday hearing on Vice President Mike Pence and the January 6th Capitol riot. Laura, we'll start with you first this week. The committee seemed to try to paint Mike Pence as a hero from that day. Would you agree?
Well, I think there's a couple different schools of thoughts about that, obviously. I mean, he did make sure that the Republic did not ensue into some type of constitutional crisis. So, I mean, he did do that. So I think he does deserve some credit for that. But at the same time, I think that it's pretty clear that he was exploring all of the options available to him to turn over the results of the election. And for Mike Pence, I think that it's got to be an incredibly uncomfortable place to be. But at the same time, he did the right thing, and I do think he does deserve some credit for doing that.
Yeah. Mario, your thoughts on Thursday?
I tell you, the person that came out smelling like roses was Vice President Mike Pence. It showed under tremendous pressure the courage that he had to follow the rule of law and to uphold the rule of law. So if he's running for president, if you have any other thoughts about him, I think that he came out really well in these hearings, and I applaud him for what he did that day.
Well, Mario, certainly seems like he's going to be running for president in 2024. How does he build a campaign on his terms in the shadow of January 6th?
I think there's a lot of people that appreciate what he did. I think that while there are a lot of people that supported Trump for president. I supported Trump for president. I still am. I view Mike Pence favorably. So I think that you can appreciate what President Trump did during his tenure and still, support Mike Pence in a run for president.
Laura, I know that you're the Democrat on the panel, but do you think Pence is running?
Well, I mean, I think he is. I mean, I'm not quite sure what he does next, so I do think this is probably a logical next step for him. He does run into the challenge of he's got to run in a primary, probably against Donald Trump, but also running in a primary tends to bring out the most extreme sides of either party. So he is going to have to do that. However, he does have some time, I think, to definitely lay out the case for what he did, why he did it. And when you look at those pictures that were shown that came out on Thursday, those pictures of him and his family, he is in a loading dock. His wife is closing the curtains. You really get a real world inside view of how dangerous the situation was for them and how close they came to being harmed. And they were potentially going to be harmed by people that his very boss set on him. Right. So that also flips, I think, his narrative a little bit. He could probably use that.
Another story that broke on Friday, guys, and we're running out of time, about 2.5 minutes left. It came out of Politico, and it was Adam Wren reporting that Mitch Daniels is seriously considering running for a third term as governor. Mario, do you think Mitch Daniels is running again? And can he win?
You know, I'm here at Republican State Convention, and that's the talk of the convention right now. Even though we're having a lot of high contested races, the talk is about Mitch Daniels. And if he comes and decides to run, he could be a game changer. That he could clear the field because of the love that people have for Mitch Daniels and what he did during his 8 years as governor of Indiana. Another rumor is that he believes that it's time for a female governor and that he could throw his chips behind Suzanne Crouch. But I think that there is serious consideration and serious hope from a lot of these convention delegates from all 92 counties that they would love to see Mitch Daniels get into a race for governor, because he's always had ideas and visions for the state that are non-traditional, but that have gotten both not only the fiscal conservatives, but also the fiscal or the conservatives, Christian conservatives together to support him. And so I think that he would be a very interesting pick in a crowded field.
Yeah. Laura, if he gets in, this is certainly going to change the shape of the 2024 race for governor now, and also could also impact the Senate as well.
Yeah, it totally could. It definitely can. And I think we've been on the Democrat side where we've seen people come in with a big name that clears the field pretty quickly. Couple things on this for you. Indiana is a little bit different, I think, in terms of our primary voters since he first ran in 2004. So he would be facing an electorate that and especially in his party, has tacked more to the right. The other thing that by him throwing his name out there in such a way is that it puts a chill on the fundraising capabilities of the folks who have stepped up to run for governor. You have several people who are already out there. They're raising money. They're doing their different pieces, and so that really is going to hamper them, particularly in their fundraising. And
to that point, Lauren, I hate to interrupt, but I'm almost out of time here. He ran on more fiscal issues rather than social issues. Is that going to play here in 2022?
I don't know. I don't know if it will. I think one of the bigger pieces here, though, to keep in mind is that he was able to sidestep a lot of this when he was at Purdue. And so there will be an expectation from these primary voters that he weigh in on these social pieces. So that
Mario, I have 20 seconds left. Mario, go ahead. Your take on that.
I don't think that's going to be an issue. But here's the thing. Eric Doden, Trey Hollingsworth, Mike Braun, they're self-funders. They can write million-dollar checks, multi-million-dollar checks to themselves to run. So while Mitch Daniels could clear the field, any one of these three could easily run against him and self-fund.
Well, we could have done an entire show on that topic. Guys, always good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We'll be right back. Thank you for joining us for All Indiana Politics. We'll be back here next Sunday morning at 9:30. You can also find our brand new All Indiana Politics podcast. It's part of the All Indiana Podcast Network at wishtv.com. Have a great rest of your weekend.